throughout the nation to look at organizational structures and diversity and try to understand where we really looking at meeting those needs and being specific to culture. And in particular, staff, some of the staff is on now. We got together and we began to discuss what can we do also to make sure that we are being mindful and inclusive and looking at diversity and equity and inclusion as well as we carve out our conversations, as we do our work. And we found that even rating ourselves, we were doing well. Our board is very diverse. And we serve across the community board of individuals. It doesn't matter if the need is there. We're looking to support you and help you in your finances. We're here to support you in your education and certainly in your health. And so we look at that as an overall understanding that wellness is important, and the work that United Ways have done for many, many years, back to the 1800s, and now to where we are today, as we all branched off and we have them. I like to say the McDonald's exist, and many of our board members are now coming to understand the structure of why having an Arrowhead United Way is very important in the city of San Bernardino. However, we serve 25 geographical locations, which is all the way up in the mountain area to Rialto and outskirts, Loma Linda, Colton, various areas. So we do a lot of work, and during COVID, it was no different. The needs were high. We had to make sure that we were out in the community serving, and the staff did and continues to do a tremendous job doing that. And so even during these critical times, we were creative in Zooms and reaching out to our community. And AIR was born this conversation, this Black History conversation, where we would share with individuals. They would share out to us about the things that they're doing in their community, as well as former. We always manage to have former champions that have served on our boards to be able to add into the conversation as well. And so I want to first welcome you all to this call. You're going to share out. We have one of our board members, Nolan, is going to share out. We should have our councilwoman coming onto the call as well. We will have a little trivia. I always like to add a little fun in there. And just have a conversation as to where we are and what is happening when we look at Black history, and certainly Black history in San Bernardino. And so before I start, I'm going to definitely ask you all for a brief moment of silence. Some of you may have been made aware of, some of you have not. We know that there are many that served our board that are no longer here with us, like Dr. Margaret Hill, who was on set of our first conversation that we had. But recently, I just found out day before yesterday, many of you that may have known Doug Ruan, he passed away last week, I believe it was. I just reached out with his wife today, who served also in our school board. So if we would, and anyone else, any other names that you want to put out, or you can put those in the chat or call those out, but we just want to take a moment of silence for those that have served in our community, and certainly the loss of Doug, who I believe served here something to the tune of 20 to 30 years. Thank you so much for that. And so now, as I move into our program, I exit my screen, big screen, and I want to share a poem. This is a poem that Dr. Hill has shared for many years, and it was passed down to me. You may have heard the story, but I'm going to share it with you today. And this poem is entitled, "What If the World Didn't Have Black People?" This is a story of a little boy named Theo who woke up one morning and asked his mother, "Mom, what if there were no Black people in the world?" Well, his mother thought about that for a moment and then said, "Son, follow me around today and let's just see what it would be like if there were no Black people in the world." Mom said, "Now go get dressed and we will go get started." Theo ran to his room to put on his clothes and his shoes. His mother took one look at him and said, "Theo, where are your shoes? And those clothes are all wrinkled. Son, I must iron them." However, when she reached for the ironing board, it was no longer there. You see, Sarah Boone, a Black woman, invented the ironing board, and Jane F. Metzlinger, a Black man, invented the shoe lasting machine. "Oh, well," she said, "please go and do something to your hair." Theo ran into the room to comb his hair, but the comb was not there. You see, Walter Salmons, a Black man, invented the comb. Theo decided to just brush his hair, but the brush was gone. You see, Linda O. Newman, a Black female, invented the brush. Well, this was a sight: no shoes, wrinkled clothes, hair a mess, even mom's hair without the hair care invention of Madam C. Walker. Well, you get the picture. Mom told Theo that. Mom told Theo, let's do our chores around the house and then take a trip to the grocery store." Theo's job was to sweep the floor. He swept and swept and swept. When he reached for the dustpan, it was not there. You see, Lloyd P. Ray, a Black man, invented the dustpan. So he swept his pile of dirt over in the corner and left it there. He then decided to mop the floor, but the mop was gone. You see, Thomas W. Stewart, a Black man, invented the mop. Theo yelled to his mom, "Mom, I'm not having any luck." "Well, son," she said, "let me finish washing these clothes, and we will prepare a list for the grocery store." When the wash finished, she went to place the clothes in the dryer, but it was not there. You see, George T. Salmon, a Black man, invented the clothes dryer. Mom asked Theo to go get a pencil and some paper to prepare their list for the market. So Theo ran for the paper and pencil, but noticed the pencil lead was broken. Well, he was out of luck because John Love, a Black man, invented the pencil sharpener. Mom reached for a pen, but it was not there because William Purvis, a Black man, invented the fountain pen. As a matter of fact, Lee Burridge invented the typewriter machine, and W.A. Lovett the advanced printing press. Theo and his mother decided just to head out to the market. Well, when Theo opened the door, he noticed the grass was as high as it was tall. You see, John Burr, a Black man, invented the lawnmower. They made their way over to the car and found that it just wouldn't go. You see, Richard Spikes, a Black man, invented the automatic gear shift. And Joseph Gamel invented the supercharged system for internal combustion engines. They also noticed that the few cars that were moving were running into each other and having wrecks because there was no traffic signal. You see, Garrett A. Morgan, a Black man, invented the traffic light. Well, it was getting late, so they walked to the market, got their groceries, and returned home. Just when they were about to put away the milk, eggs, and butter, they noticed the refrigerator was gone. You see, John Standard, a Black man, invented the refrigerator. So they just left the food on the counter. By this time, Theo noticed he was getting cold. Mom went to turn up the heat. And what do you know? Alice Parker, a Black female, invented the heating furnace. Even in the summertime, they would have been out of luck because Frederick Jones, a Black man, invented the air conditioner. It was almost time for Theo's father to arrive home. He usually takes the bus, but there was no bus because its precursor was the electric trolley invented by another Black man, Elbert R. Robinson. He usually takes the elevator from his office on the 20th floor, but there was no elevator because Alexander Miles, a Black man, invented the elevator. He also usually dropped off the office mail at a nearby mailbox, but it was no longer there because Philip Downey, a Black man, invented the letter drop mailbox. And William Berry invented the postmarking and canceling machine. Theo and his mother sat at the kitchen table with their heads in their hands. When the father arrived, he asked, "Why are you sitting in the dark?" "Why? Because Lewis Howard Latimer, a Black man, invented the filament within the light bulb. Theo quickly learned more about what it would be like if there were no Black people in the world, especially if he were ever sick and needed blood. Dr. Charles Drew, a Black scientist, found a way to preserve and store blood, which led to him starting the world's first blood bank. Well, what if a family member had to have surgery? This would not have been a problem without Dr. Daniel Hill Williams, a Black doctor who performed the first heart surgery. So you see, if the world had no Black people, we would be lost. Thank you. All right, so now that we have that bit of historical history, I am now going to turn it over to Roz Nolan to share with us. You're on mute. Thank you.
There we go. I don't know if I can share something above and beyond that. My goodness, we would be in a quandary if there was not people that were Black in this world. So my sharing is actually, first let me say thank you to Dr. Gwen Rodgers and our United Arrowway team. It has been so exciting for me to, I'm going to say, start my evolution with participating with the board. And so I'm kind of excited about that. And it's Black History Month. And more specifically, you know what? There's a great deal of focus on, I'm going to say, the Black and Brown community, especially as it relates to inclusion, and especially as it relates to what we have to offer. And it's kind of exciting to see how we evolve. Now, for me personally, I work for Common Spirit Health, and Common Spirit Health happens to be one of the largest healthcare organizations. It's not one, it is right now the largest healthcare organization in America, especially for nonprofit. We actually have over 19,500 beds across America. We actually have 164 hospitals in 18 states. And guess what? Our executive senior president is a Black man. The founder of Common Spirit Health, which merged two major large healthcare organizations, which actually happens to have been Dignity Health and CHI, Catholic Health Initiatives, was a Black man. It was Lloyd Dean. And Lloyd Dean has actually retired, and we now have another Black man over our organization, and his name is Lester Wright. So with that being said, it's fun to work in an organization where we put emphasis on diversity and inclusion. We make absolutely certain that the healthcare leaders, the healthcare contributors, the healthcare partners look like the population in which we're serving. And so that makes it really easy. So, you know, we can pray in our organization. We can, and that's not always the case. We get to make sure that we keep our practices and cultural practices and beliefs in the forefront. And that makes it really interesting for me personally, because when I actually first started this journey and in this role, it was not very many people that looked like me. And it's still not, I'm going to say, equitably proportionate, but it is really nice with that evolution to be able to have a voice at that table and to be able to contribute and to be able to bring forth those disparities that you may overlook because you don't look like me. And so it's exciting in San Bernardino County because there's a growth in San Bernardino County with our organization. We get to contribute to the population that is representative of our organization is representative of the population we serve. So we're able to meet their needs. We're actually able to do, and it's not just all about my organization, it's just nice to be able to do community needs assessment and hear the voice of our community and then act upon those things. And so with that being said, we've done needs assessments, and it's been identified that there is a huge need for behavioral health and providing care for our mentally ill population. And it's nice, we have a health education center, community resource center, where we are actually going out with a community navigator and working with the mentally ill population specifically as it relates to their substance abuse and alcoholism. And so that makes it nice because that came from the voice of our community and the people in which we serve. For me personally, I love serving everybody, but I enjoy serving the disparity of those that's in need and contributing to that list that Dr. Rogers provided. My name's not on that list, but I feel like I can do a small contribution to meeting the needs of our population and our Black and brown people. And that's my little introduction. Dr. Rogers, is there anything else?
So I'm going to ask then, those that are on the call, thank you so much for just beginning that conversation, because we know that Dignity Health has been a champion in this community forever. And so when we use the name Dignity Health, also, I'll ask you this question: how does it cross over with St. Bernardine's and Community Hospital?
Well, I will share with you a little bit of trivia. Community Hospital began, I've been here for a really long time, just so you know. And when I first started here, we were not Community Hospital San Bernardino, we were San Bernardino Community Hospital, okay? And we went through I'm gonna say transformation and a big campaign, and we said we're putting our community first, so we flipped the name and we became Community of San Bernardino. But we were a freestanding organization. St. B's was a freestanding organization, but they actually belong to the Daughters of Charity. With that being said, they were under the leadership of Catholic Healthcare West. And I don't know if you guys remember that, the good old fashioned CHW, they had the burgundy stars. And CHW, and we were rivals. We are exactly 3.2 miles apart. And we were rivals in terms of us competing. And there was more of a focus at the community side. But fast forward, Catholic Healthcare West wanted to bring on some community-based organization to expand their capacity. And Community Hospital became sister facilities with St. Bernardine's. That was back in 2010. So we were, no, it wasn't. Yeah, that was back, not 2010, that was back in 1999. And then we evolved because we were no longer under Catholic Healthcare West. We both became inducted into Dignity Health. That's what was 2010. So now we work collaboratively. We share leadership, we share ideas. Our focuses are a little bit different. We are still really bread and butter, get out there into the community, but we work collaboratively with St. B's. They're a tertiary, we're a primary. We are both giving back to the community. We have a joint scholarship program where we give to community-based organizations, but we just like hitting the trenches in the streets. Did that answer the question?
You did, and because what I really wanted to say is I was born at Community Hospital.
Woo-woo.
So how many others on this call can say that? We may have some others. Okay.
I was born at Community Hospital, Gwen.
Who is that? Shika?
Shika.
Really?
Yes,
I'm taking notes. I'm gonna post you guys pictures.
Community Hospital, shout it out.
Hey.
All right. So are there any questions? Because I'm going, if there is no other questions, we'll hold those. You can put them in the chat. We're going to add on to this. We're going to add on to the history impromptu. Alton, oh, you're coming off mute because I was about to chime you in anyway, because I want you to merge some of our history or whatever you're about to say. Let's add to this because everybody's on the call for history.
I was going to ask Dr. Roz if she would say the name of her new organization again.
Common Spirit Health.
Common Spirit.
We have a magenta colored flower. It's Common Spirit Health.
Common spirit help. Okay.
And your leader is who?
Lester Wright.
Okay. Okay, thank you. And
Okay.
Dr. Gwen, what do you want me to do now?
So now I'm going to pin you. Hi there. We can see you. So I want you to now, you can add in too. You served on Arrowhead, but what is San Bernardino has it involved when we look at our Black history? What's some of the juicy juice around our history? What should we know? What do you think we don't know? And then why did you end up serving on Arrowhead back then?
Well, I have to couch my words because I don't know if the statute of limitation has passed for all of the things that you're asking me about, so I have to make sure that I say, I don't hope we have an attorney or two on this call so they can help me out here if I go astray. I arrived in San Bernardino in 1985. I was in the Air Force at the time, stationed at Norton Air Force Base. I retired from Norton in 1989. And at the time that I retired from Norton, I started a job at the National Orange Show here in San Bernardino as their director of food and beverages, and more specifically on the beverages side. I kept that job in the beverages side until 91, and then I became the director of sales and marketing for the National Orange Show. So in my capacity as the director of sales and marketing, I was responsible for responsible for writing all the contracts for anyone who wanted to rent anything at the Orange Show. If you want to have a dinner, or you want to have a show, you want to rent a building, you want to do anything, I was responsible for doing that. In view of the fact that the National Orange Show at that time was very interested in the Black community because there was so many Black organizations that was doing events and everything, and they wanted to get as much business. Let's be real. It's all about the economics, to get as much business to the National Orange Show as possible. So I was asked and tasked with making sure that not only did I serve as the director of sales and marketing, but also could kind of served as their community liaison person. So my job was to get out there in the community, and to see what was going on in the community, and try to be as involved as possible in the community. I think that sometime around 91, 92 timeframe, I met Catherine Irvin and Jim Deskus, and I think Clifford Hackney was working as a staffer at the Arrowhead United Way at the time, and I had previously served on the board for the Home and Neighborly Services, and they asked me if I would serve on the board. So I said that I would. And in my time in the military, I worked in personnel. So I got assigned to the personnel committee, and I actually was on the committee that hired Doug Rowan. I served on that committee with Jim Deskus and Kath Irwin, and we were the 3-member committee that actually did all the reviews and interviews for all of the individuals who applied for the job as the ED, for Arrowhead United Way. And so we had about 5 people that we narrowed it down to, and then we looked, and finally we decided to make the job offer to Doug. And for all of Doug served in that capacity faithfully, for quite some time and everything. So that was a good fit. It was a good thing for us. I served there until 1999, and the reason that I left the board in 1999 is that I went to work for Habitat for Humanity in Americus, Georgia, so I moved from the state of California and moved to Georgia to be the director of special projects for Habitat for Humanity. I spent 3 years in there and came back, but in my time in California, and specifically here in San Bernardino, I've been a part of the West Side Action Group since 1991. The West Side Action Group is an organization of Black men in the community that was formed in 1972. And we meet each Monday, and I think that we have been we have been meeting at least once a week since 1972. Now that since we've been into COVID, we've been doing it by Zoom, but prior to that, we were meeting at the former Boys and Girls Club over on West 9th Street. And before that, we met at various other places around. The city of San Bernardino has, as a whole, I believe, deteriorated over the years, in a lot of respects and everything. There has always been a few Black and brown people, on the various councils and committees and things around the community. I applaud all of the work that has been done, by the people who really get out there. Dr. Nolan and I, actually served on the board for the African American Health Institute of San Bernardino County, which was formed in 1999 and stayed in existence to about 2000 and plus. Dr. Diane Woods was our leader over there, and we did a lot of good work in get into history and also passed on information regarding the various cancers. We did a big thing on prostate cancer and colorectal cancers, and we had a monthly meeting where we discussed with other people in the community about health issues and everything. That spawned a lot of work, throughout California. The African American Health Institute was able to secure some contracts with the State Department of Mental Health, and we put together a kind of a mental health directory and everything from that organization and all. And Dr. Nolan and her people at the community hospital was very generous, in allowing us to maintain an office, over on Western, for quite some time. And we had to pay a whole lot of money, we paid a whole $1 a year, for that, so that was a lot of money, but we were very fortunate to have Dr. Nolan in our corner and working with us, because she brings that medical expertise to it, her along with Dr. Woods, they were the experts as far as the medical side of the world is concerned. And we were just out there, a bunch of lay people, trying to help out and do whatever we can. I love San Bernardino. I like San Bernardino. I've always enjoyed my time here. I don't intend to go anywhere until the man calls me up and say, your time is up. I got your number. It's time to come home. Then I don't have any choice in that matter. But that would be my next home, And Dr. Gwen, you can stop the smiling. I am going up and not down, what I mean? So we'll just make sure we clear that up right now, But San Bernardino history is a lot of things. I'm proud of the fact that, that we have a Black police chief. Proud of all of the firsts that have come about. The Black and brown community in San Bernardino. I think that over the years we have always been together. But I think that with the previous presidency and the attitudes of the previous presidency, there's been a very strong move to divide the nation, which in turn divides every small community and everything. And for the people on the call who do not know me that well, I'm a strong proponent of voting. I'm a strong proponent of registering to vote. I preach voting all the time, and I also preach that you should not be primarily concerned about the top of the ballot, but you should be primarily concerned about everything that's on the ballot, from the top all the way down to the bottom. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, just look at some of the board meetings that's happening in the city of Temecula, and around the country, and the things that they're doing to our children. School board members are there supposedly for the children and not for their own self-aggregation, but they're supposed to be there to take care of the children and not there to make themselves look good and feel good about themselves. But again, every time I get an opportunity to speak, I'm going to throw out a punch about voting, and the elections is coming up here in 2024, and we don't need to wait until 2024, the day before the primary, to determine who we're going to vote for. We need to start thinking about that now and start looking around and watching people as they come about, because believe me, folks, when I say this, some of these folks are not out for your best interest. They're not out for your best interest. They're out for their own self-gain. They're out for whatever else you want to call it. They don't care about governing the United States for the good of the people. They care about governing for the good of their particular party. And that's what it boils down to. And thank you, Dr. Gwen, for the opportunity to speak.
Thank
Did not
you.
know that I was going to be thrust into this.
Anytime you're around me, you're gonna
But that's
But
okay.
thank you.
You know, you give me 10 minutes and I can speak 15 on any subject at any time. So I'm okay with that, you know.
I love that. And that's what we've done in these conversations, is so much rich and lost history that doesn't get shared often. And we take these moments, and Dr. Henry, you coming up next, so you may as well get on the camera, because we've dealt with health a little bit, you know, and we've now looked at the business side. I mean, some of you all on the call maybe didn't even remember when Alton was speaking, he made reference to our base that we used to have here, Norton. Norton was an air base. I had no idea, though, that Alton and Roz already knew each other, but it goes to show you how we prevailed over the years and have moved forward. And what I'm excited about is that neither mentioned this, but I'm sure there were some contentious times during that, where we are looking now, as I said, we have a diverse board, but I can recall even back in the 80s, you know, going to Cal State and being the only Black person in the classroom. So this has not always been, but it's always been someone stepping up. Dr. Henry, did you get back on? She is always able to share. There you are, Dr. Henry. I'm going to pin you. I'm going to pin you, and I'm going to ask you to share some local history as well. So let me see if I can get you pinned on the screen. I'm going to pin you right now, and you can begin. Dr. Henry needs no introduction, number one. She is education, education, education. And so Dr. Henry, share with us some thoughts around education and just, you know, what it's been like here in San Bernardino.
And you know, I had no idea what was going to happen today, and you were going to have me do anything at all. So I will be coming out of left field here. I came in 1983. In fact, just before we went on, I received a picture from Hardy Brown that I tried to print and couldn't get it printed. It was a picture of President of Cal State at that time, who was very active in the community. I came in to San Bernardino in 1983. I was hired as an assistant professor at Cal State San Bernardino. In fact, the dean came to the airport in St. Louis to interview me. So when people told me I was too old to go to school to get a degree, I have a story. Oh, I don't know if I should go back, but anyway, I went back to school at age 38 with 4 children to support and got my degree from college. Everybody told me, not everybody, otherwise I wouldn't have been motivated, but many people told me I was too old to go back to school. You can't compete. I did. I went back to school, supported my kids. I got my degree, bachelor's. All my children finished college. And when I went then I got the master's. I taught for a little bit, and then I got a master's because somebody in my neighborhood thought that Black kids couldn't do well and told me I was wasting my time teaching. And I said, no, I'm going to go and get my degree, my master's, and I'm coming back and take your job because you're not relating to these children. It was an Upward Bound program at the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff that I was working at that time. And I told him, I'm coming back and get your job. Well, when I got my master's, instead, I got another job, a counseling job, because I went into counseling. And here again, I was too old to go to be a counselor. It turned out that the counseling worked so well at Watson Chapel in near Pine Bluff, Arkansas, that they asked me to write an article on it, which I did. And anyway, then I went back to school. A lot happened in between. Went back to school and got my doctorate. And when I got my doctorate, I was interviewed to come out to this job in San Bernardino. When I hit the ground, I knew I owed some dues to people. I said, what can I do in this area to be of benefit to my people? I was told to look at the dropout rate for the Black kids in this area. The dropout rate was much too high and they didn't have jobs. So that is how the PAL Center was organized in 1984. We formed a nonprofit organization so that I could apply for grants and organize an organization in this area that would benefit all people, but predominantly, especially Black young people, Black kids. And we incorporated in 1984, and we hit the ground running, been running ever since. We have never closed the door. At one time, we had as many as 11 programs going simultaneously at that center in Muscoy, one of the most deprived areas in the area. And I was told, do you want some money? Bring your program to the other side of town. And I said, no, that's okay. We'll stay where we are because this is where it's needed. So there have been mountains to climb, but he didn't bring me this far to leave me. My song, one of my favorite songs. San Bernardino at that time was I thought was really about things. We were active. There were some things that weren't right. We got on top of them. When I was at Cal State and I wanted to take somebody to lunch, I always brought them down to Bobby Ray's. We didn't go to some of the other places. I said, no, you come on over here in the hood, come on my side of town, and let's go eat at Bobby Ray's. And so I think at that time, the Black community was more active than it became later. I had to fought, of course, for my promotion at Cal State, but I fought it. They told me I was not going to be promoted to full professor because I didn't have enough professional growth. And I had started a whole educational program on the West Side. And I said, the fight is on because I earned this promotion. I'm going to get it. So some of you are familiar with that. I had a big mouth, did a lot of fighting, but we won. So I was promoted to full professor. And then when I retired, President Carnegie awarded me, I was trying to avoid this. Shoot. I was promoted to, dang, this one. I'll show you, I'm not.
Your battery, is it dropping?
Hey, you might turn it up. So I just move it. Anyway, Professor Emeritus. So that's the title I use now. Yeah, I am a Professor Emeritus at Cal State San Bernardino. Still available to see what I can do to help in the community. So that's where I am. I think we were, as I said, we were very active. I think we were more active at that time. We need to find, I always made sure that Black history was part of my curriculum at Cal State, no matter what program class I taught. I specialized in multicultural counseling because I said any counselor that's going to be counseling in this area and going to be counseling children need to know about their history. So for each ethnic group, when we would study, I would bring in someone from the university primarily to talk about, from that ethnic group, to talk about their history so that they got firsthand history, and particularly Black history. I was even asked, why do you bring a Black male in? Because you're Black, so why do you bring somebody in when you do African-American history? Because the male experience is different from my experience. And I said, because I remember my mom would put her hands on her hips and she'd tell somebody off in a minute because she was told her children would never amount to nothing. In fact, it was a white real estate agent that told her, your little nigger kids ain't gonna never amount to nothing, no how. Because she was looking for a house in town, so we could go to school 9 months of the year. At that time, Blacks could only go to school. If you were on the farm, your school closed. You could only go to school 4 or 5 months out of the year. So if you went to school 9 months, you had to go into town. So mother and dad were looking for a house in town. And this real estate agent told her, your little nigger kids ain't gonna never amount to nothing. Every time we grabbed 4 children. And all of us finished college, high school, we finished college. 3 of us got master's degrees and 2 of us got PhDs. And every time we got a degree, mother was down in his face. My little kids didn't go mountain nothing, huh? And that was what motivated me. We had that type of community involvement, and you were proud to be Black. The poem that you read, I had a lot of that. I have a similar poem that I always shared, passed out in my classes, that they knew what African Americans or Black people did in this country for this country. Now, I'll shut up because I talk too much. I can talk forever. Black history, that's my thing.
We love it because we know it's your jam, and that is a good thing. Let's clap it up for the 3 speakers, right? How it tied into the work that we do actually hear what our foundations stand on. That's health and education, and finances. And we need to hear these stories. That's why we're adamant about making sure we continue to do this every year so that we can be able to share these same stories. I mean, I hang out with all of you all the time, and this is where I get my data, my info. And Dr. Henry, while you were speaking, we also want to acknowledge the loss of Bobby Ray. Bobby Ray that you spoke of also just recently passed away as well. But this is our history. And if you don't know it, we won't be able to share it, correct?
Correct. And let me share, when you said we were going to come on, I grabbed this stole that we give our Black students. What do you call this thing? When they graduate as
Your stole.
Your stole, yeah. My education stole. It's
Education stole,
yeah.
exactly.
So I'm gonna grab it, throw it on top of whatever I have on to show you.
Absolutely. Wear it and represent. You actually, as you were speaking, there are some Cal State alumni I know that are on this call, that are also even on the alumni committee. I see you, DeMarco is on the call as well. And then I thought I saw Delphine. Delphine is on this call, and Delphine had a relationship also with Arrowhead. Delphine, I know you're probably multitasking, but we're so glad to also have, she's laughing. I hear she hears me. You want to ask them? I'm getting ready to do some trivia before we close out. Delphine, you want to say anything? You want to say hello?
I just want to say hello to everyone, and thank you, Dr. Henry, for sharing so much. I learned a lot about San Bernardino because, I worked at Community Action Partnership for several years, and that's a nonprofit community-based organization. And so that's why I first met Dr. Hill and so many people here. I communicated with you, Mr. Garrett. Maybe you may not remember me, but yes, so I've learned so much about this community. And I feel, even though I don't live in San Bernardino County, I still feel it's my community because I know more about this community than I know my own community. So thank you.
Thank you, and good to see you as
You
always.
too.
So here's where it gets a little, it gets a little rough, but not for those that know this. So I'm going to share, and we've added some trivia to this trivia. I thought Carolyn was going to be on, but she helped. So Dr. Hill again had compiled some things, and I continue to keep these and share these out. And they're little San Bernardino trivias. So the first one says, and if you know it, this is when we just shout out, you could just shout it out. Who is the first African-American city council member for San Bernardino? Was it A, John Hobbs? Was it B, Dr. Frederick Curlin? C, Norris Gregory? D, Valerie Pope Ludland? E, Betty Jean Anderson? F, Ricky Van Johnson? G, Bessine Littlefield? Or H, Kimberly Calvin? Who was the first African-American council member? Does anybody know?
It was between Hobbs and Norris.
And it is Norris Gregory. Absolutely. Who was the first African-American school board member in San Bernardino? Was it A, John Woods? Was it B, Hardy Brown? Was it C, Jules Shelton? Was it D, Danny Tillman? E, Tony Dupree? E, Margaret Hill? G, Gwen Rogers?
Woods.
It was John Woods. Talk about phone a friend. I'm taking you with me on the road. What is the name of the first African-American church in San Bernardino? Was it A, New Hope Missionary Baptist Church? B, 16th Street Seventh-day Adventist Church? C, St. Paul AME Church, D, Ecclesia Christian Center, E, St. Mark, F, Temple Missionary Baptist Church, or G, Mount Zion?
St. Paul AME.
St. Paul AME. Was the first African American to attend the University of Redlands? Was it A, Juanita Jones, B, Lois Carson, C, Dorothy Ingram, D, Mildred Henry, C, Willie Brew, F, Ida Robertson, or G, Clarence Goodwin?
Dorothy
Ingram.
Dorothy Ingram it was. All right. Who was the first African-American superintendent in California? What to reside in San Bernardino? Was it A, Dr. Mildred Henry? Was it B, Dorothy Ingram? Was it C, Judy White? Was it D, Clarence Goodwin? Was it C, Juanita Blakely Jones?
Dorothy Ingram.
Dr. Ingram.
Dr. Ingram. All right, let's see. Who was the first African-American to serve on the San Bernardino Community College Board? Was it A, Beverly Powell, B, Keith Lee, C, Wilma Cochran, D, Lois Carson, or C, Joseph Williams?
Lois.
Lois Carson it is. Which elementary school in San Bernardino is not named after an African-American? A, Juanita Jones Elementary, B, George Brown Elementary, C, Howard Ingram Elementary, D, Anderson Elementary, C, Mildred Henry Elementary?
George Brown.
George Brown it is. Who was the first African-American police officer in San Bernardino? Was it A, Johnny Epps, B, Willie Clark, C, Claude Diggs, D, Jimmy Jules, E, Ted Henson, F, Steve Turner, or G, Travis Walker?
Epps.
Johnny Epps it is.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Who was the first African-American newspaper in San Bernardino? Was it A, the Black Voice, B, Inland News, C, American News, D, Precinct Reporter, or E, West Side Story?
Between Precinct Reporter and American News.
Yeah.
Precinct Reporter it is. All right, what African-American received federal land and a $10,000 check from Publishers Clearinghouse for his golf and bicycle program? A, Charlie Seymour, B, Robert Bob Parker, C, Gerald Warner, D, Jack Hill, or E, Harry Rubottom?
Seymour.
Charlie Seymour it is. Who was the first African-American doctor to practice medicine in San Bernardino City? A, Dr. White, B, Dr. Holder, C, Dr. Walker, D, Dr. Smith, or E, Dr. Ingram?
Holder.
Dr.
Ingram.
Ingram.
It was Ingram, and I remember we fought over this one too, because Dr. White delivered me, so I just, that's all I knew. Okay, Dr. Ingram it was. Okay, which African-American was instrumental in bringing the cooling centers to San Bernardino and Riverside County? Was it A, Valerie Pope Ludland? Was it B, Otis Clopton? Was it C, Francis Grice, or D, Chuck Lewis? We argued over this one too. And ultimately it came down to Francis Grice. They went and got data on it. Okay, these are the newest ones that were added. What enslaved African-American woman arrived in San Bernardino in 1851 and after 5 years successfully sued her master, obtaining her freedom and that of her 2 children? Was it A, Lizzie Flake Rowan, B, Ellen Garrison Clark, C, Jane Manning, or D, Bridget Biddy Mason?
Biddy Mason.
It's Biddy Mason it was. All right, a San Bernardino High School graduate who earned his law degree from the University of California at Berkeley and eventually became the Dean of Howard University Law School. Was it A, George Marion Johnson, B, Edward Reed, C, Arthur Beale, or D, Orville Diggs? That's a new one.
Oh,
It was George Marion Johnson. And that was a new one given to me by Carolyn Tillman. I didn't know that.
hmm.
Okay, last one. Who found the Negro Welfare League in the 1930s and worked for the local office of the National Youth Administration? She hosted a dinner in San Bernardino at the Masonic Lodge for then the National Youth Administration Director, Mary McLeod Bethune. Was it A, Marie McElroy, B, Pearl James, C, Anna B. Gardner, or D, Leola Jones? Yeah, that's a hard one.
No, that one.
The answer is Leola Jones. Interesting. That was a very interesting one. But I definitely I know that there's some phone of friends on this call. If I needed to go somewhere, I definitely can call up some calls. Pam, I see you. Are you there? I know you had to click off before.
I'm here.
You are there. I'm good. Pam is also a part of our, look at me, I can't even, Women's United, which do some work. Tell them what you do, Pam.
For Women United?
Yeah, that
and-
too.
Okay. So I wear different hats, but yes, I am involved with Women United of Arrowhead United Way. And we support and help young women in the community from the ages of 16 to 24 in the areas of education, health, and financial stability. We are looking to get more women involved in our organization. And we do have an event that will be taking place next month on March 15th at Think White's Credit Union. It is in celebration of Women's History Month. And so we have some amazing women who will be featured on our panel. And so we would love for all of you, men included, to attend and to join us. It is a way to connect, all of us to connect, and also, you know, have some good food and listen to these amazing women and what they are doing in our community.
Thank you, Pam. That's exactly what I wanted you to cover. So thank you so much. We know we haven't been able to do much because of the COVID, but you know, there's a lot of work that come out of this place to call Arrowhead United Way. We want to continue to have you all, you know, just reach out to us, support us, you know, like us on social media. We're all over that. We have Christopher Ortiz, who covers and does a lot of all of our, you know, social media everywhere, he's the reason why you all are here today, putting you on our constant contact. If you want to get involved with us, we definitely are looking forward to doing more in the community. We have lots of needs and lots of work to do, but we do it because we know that our community stands with us. And so we appreciate you all for coming on and sharing information. And then lastly, somebody tell me who invented peanut butter.
George Washington Carver.
I can't stuff you, I can't stuff you. I cannot. I tried. I looked for what I was like, yeah, they won't remember. They won't remember this.
Well, we
Man.
went to high school together, so that's why I remember him doing that.
No way.
No,
Are
I'm
you
kidding.
serious?
I'm
You
kidding.
gotta, no, okay. And I fell for it, y'all. Y'all let me fall for it into that. I went all up in, okay, who created the ice cream scoop?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
It was A.L. Criley, February the 2nd, 1897. So I knew you would know that. Well, this has been great. Any questions, any comment? Hi, Vicky, good to see you. You guys are on, you guys have been amazing. So any questions, anything else you want to know, we want to share with you. We still sit in a wonderful little building on 646 North D Street. We're not going anywhere. We're going to make, Roz is going to make sure it's all safe and everything. Our board is fabulous. We love them. We are recruiting right now as we speak. I'm looking at some faces on here that I won't be just calling you up when I say, you want to have lunch? Just know I have a motive.
Gwen, Mildred here, Henry.
Yes.
I did not indicate that I was on the board for a while, Arrowhead board. I was a board member for a while. I got while in Cal State. Yeah, don't remember the years.
Wow.
But anyway, I was
Full
there.
circle. That is full circle. And
Yes,
you
full
also,
circle.
Dr. Henry, you didn't mention you are an author, and the name of your book is what?
It is, now that you mention it, From the Ashes I Rise.
Yes.
Dare to do the
Get it,
impossible.
you all. It's a good read. She autographed mine, and I
Yes,
had the
she did.
opportunity, a couple of weeks ago, to spend her 90th birthday with her. She had a shindig,
Yes.
a nice party up there at Shannon Hills, and they danced and danced and danced. She still got it, y'all. She can outdance all of us.
Oh, I wish. Well, thanks
All
for
right.
coming. It was a ball. It was great.
Yes, it was, and a blessing to be there. Well, again, thank you all so much. As I said, we honor your time, 1 hour spending with you. Look forward to next year. We don't know who we're going to put on the spot next year, but I was taking notes on a lot of things, and we'll add you to our history. Alton, did you say something?
No, goodbye.
Okay. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you. Make sure I get this covered.
Still in.
Yep.